Okay. All right, everyone, welcome. My name is Ali Unar. I'm founder of Access Prep. We help students with LSAT prep and then law school admissions consulting. I have with me today Ntolla. He's a student at Georgetown Law. Amazing person, amazing human being, and also an amazing student at Georgetown. We'll be talking about our background, how we grew up overseas. We wanted to go to top law schools in US. We got in, and then now we're trying to make the industry more diverse, working spaces, sharing content, making content where we can help other minority students succeed. Okay. So the first thing we want to share is our background. So I'll let Lewis talk about his background, where he grew up, and the language, whether English was his first language, because it's important. A lot of students have that question, whether I can do well in law school if English is not my first language. Just his family background, what his parents did, how his childhood was.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ntolla. Thank you, Ali, for having me here. It's a pleasure to talk to you guys and be here. So to introduce myself, so I am from Paris, France. So I came to the US when I was 18 after high school. So when I came to the US, I did not speak a word of English. So I learned everything here. I went to prep school for 2 years. So I came here because I got a basketball scholarship. So I told myself, okay, it's amazing. I'm going to go to the US, learn English, because I wanted to work in finance originally. And I knew that my career had a selling if I couldn't speak English. So to me, it was just an opportunity to learn English and then move on with my life. So my first language is French. And so yeah, I was in Phoenix for my first 6 months. I learned English. It was really hard, was really tough. So most of the learning was talking to people in the street, my teammates, anybody that wanted to talk to me, and watching Netflix in English with English subtitles. That was most of my learning, so it went well. And then eventually, after 3 years between high school and college, I finally went to college. I was finally good enough in English to go to college, so I went to college.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you for sharing your background, Lewis. So just like you, I grew up overseas. I was born in Pakistan. I grew up in Karachi, and English was now my first language. And to make it worse, I was a science student, so I did not even have opportunity to read books in school. So we used to have English class or so, but I was always doing math and physics. I came to US first time for my college when I was 18 years old. I went to UCLA, and my major in my first year was pure physics. So not in engineering, just pure physics, just theoretical stuff. I'm doing math, I'm doing chemistry, but I'm mostly studying physics my entire year. That's what I did. And my family is still overseas in Pakistan, and my family has business background. We do some real estate work. It's kind of like diverse. But yeah, just like you, I came here and then I realized, well, my English is quite weak. I took SAT to come to UCLA. It wasn't easy. I mean, my students that can improve it. It took me really long. It took me longer than all of the students. I mean, they were taking just 2 months to get score. That it took me 7-8 months, right? It was tough. But I got in UCLA, and then 4 years there and all that sort of stuff. We'll talk more about major and stuff later. But anyway, how was your college experience? What major did you pick? What were your interests? How did you spend your time in college?
So I went to college in New Orleans. So to me, New Orleans is the best city in the US to be a college student because it's a party city. And when you're 18, 19, 20, 21, school is important, absolutely, but having fun too. And New Orleans was a really fun city. So I went to Southern University, the New Orleans campus. It's an HBCU. So I had a great time. I met people. It was great. I was an athlete there. So off season, I could go out a lot. During the season, not so much. I was pretty focused. But otherwise, I was really focused. I had a game plan. So Monday through Friday, I would be either in class, the library, the basketball court, or the gym lifting weight. That would be it. And then from Friday, 10 p.m., to Sunday, I would go out and enjoy life, just have fun, go to parties in the city, do whatever I want. That was my life off season. And then Monday, I would wake up at 2, 3 p.m., whatever, and study until 11 p.m. and then go back to the grind. So that was my routine. So it was a good balance of getting the job done in the classroom and enjoying life. So to me, I think it was a perfect balance. So I majored in business accounting. And so, yeah, I had a lot of fun. I was in New Orleans. That was great.
Yeah, I would disagree with you. I don't think New Orleans is the best city. LA is the best city. That's my opinion. Now, just like you, 4 years of college for me were like vacation, right? LA is fun, but UCLA, it's in Westwood. It's a bubble, and it's like, I mean, it has everything that you can think of. It has the best dining halls in the entire US in ranking. It has the best gyms. I mean, UCLA is so much into sports. I mean, and we used to study just 2, 3 hours a day, and the rest of the time we're just having fun, right? On the campus, off campus, eating the best food, best parties. It was mind blowing. It was an amazing experience. And when you graduate from UCLA, it's kind of shocked because you're coming to this real life, which is so different from that college experience. So yeah, as I was talking earlier, my major was physics, right? But in second year, I physics just did not answer a lot of questions I had about the world, the life generally. And I used to ask when I used to solve these complex physics problems, how is this solving this problem helping me make world a better place, right? And I'm sure it does. I mean, if I continue working and PhD, I'll probably create something that helps the world generally. But in short term, the solving those problems was not solving social issues that really bothered me. Political issues, social issues, one of them being just like, I mean, hunger, right? Like hunger is a big issue around the world. So many children sleep without eating anything at night. Like these things really bothered me. And I'm like, well, physics is not the way to go about. And then I changed to political science and economics. And not planning to go to law school, I just want to choose something that gives me answers of the problems. So I switched to political science economics, like double major. And right away, I started getting the answer with the questions I had. I got happier. It was amazing. So, and then it was like after studying political science economics for a year or so, I started thinking then, okay, where would this take me? And then I started thinking about law school. But let me ask you first, how did you decide that you want to go to law school, and what motivated you really?
Well, originally my goal was to go for master in finance. So I picked business and accounting. I picked accounting because it was something reliable, something I could rely on to get a job. But my goal was, okay, I want to study business and then go for a master in finance and then work somewhere. Like I could see myself doing investment banking or something within this world, in this space. So I had an internship back in 2019. So between my sophomore year and my junior year. And I was in Cleveland, Ohio. And one of my coworker, another intern, we became good friends. And he told me he was going to law school. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I told him, you know what? Like lately, I've been looking at law school like from a distance. And then he told me, yeah, I could see you in law school. I think you do well. And he was going to law school the following fall. And so then I started asking him questions. And I did my research every night. I would just go on my computer and Google stuff about law school, just doing my research every night. It was my routine. I would come home from work, do my research. And the more I was reading about it, the more I was watching YouTube videos, and the more I felt like I could do it too. Like, why not me? That could be interesting. And so originally, I chose to go to law school with the goal of just going back to sports, actually. So I was a student athlete. So I told myself, you know what? Maybe I'll just go to law school, not even take the bar, just go to law school and then go back to the college world, the college athletic world, and work in compliance was my first thought. And then I told myself, you know what? If I go to law school, I might as well become a real lawyer, because as I was Googling people working in athletic compliance, I could see they had a JD and the bar. They were barred somewhere, even though you don't necessarily need it. They were actual lawyers. So I told myself, maybe I could do it too. And then eventually I told myself, well, you know what? If I become an actual lawyer, maybe I could actually work within the real law space and become an actual lawyer. And then I start looking into the like actual law space and becoming a lawyer. And I told myself, well, why not just become a lawyer? What kind of lawyer? I don't know, maybe in finance too. I could be a lawyer within the finance world and everything. And I told myself, okay, let's do it. So let's try to go to law school. Then I Googled how to go to law school. Then I read about it. Okay, you need the LSAT, you need a high GPA. My GPA was solid. I was like, okay, I have the GPA. So I need the LSAT. I need the work experience. I need a resume. Okay, I'm currently doing an internship, and he promised me a stellar letter recommendation. That's one. Then I have my coach. That should be two. And then I have my professors. Okay, I should be fine. So now all I have to do is take care of the LSAT. And so I start Googling stuff about the LSAT. And I was like, okay, it seems hard, but if people can do it, why not me? And then I was on YouTube watching videos about the LSAT and I was learning about it. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Yeah. And eventually I told myself, you know what? Let's do it. That's
That's
how
really, that's how
it's,
it took off. So all of this happened after you graduated. So you start thinking about law school
no, it
after,
was during undergrad. So during the summer, and I was
during the
doing
summer
and I was doing my internships.
internship. Okay. Which year was that of the college?
So what I did is I graduated in 3 years. So it
Okay.
was my 2009. It was a year before graduating.
Okay.
In sophomore and junior, but I graduated as a junior. So
Okay. So like summer before graduation,
yeah, a year before graduation.
year before graduation. Okay. Okay. So that, okay. I started thinking about LSAT and law school also in my second year summer. So the first summer, not thinking about it. So first summer was like changing major. So I spent first summer switching from engineering to political science economics. So like that was a lot of thinking. And then it was second summer in which I'm like, okay, where would political science take me? Doesn't seem like I'll be making anything with just political science. Being an international student at UCLA, I'm giving them 60,000 a year and just taking political science, right? So then I was like, okay, let's do law school. And then with law school, I wanted to go run for office eventually. I'm like, okay, like I want to run for office with political science. And one thing common among all the senators or representatives here in DC is that they went to law school. There's something about it. So let me just do it. I don't know what it's going to be. Let me just do it. So that was my initial motivation. And that's when I took my diagnostic in second summer of college. It was the most painful experience. And there's until certain pain, you get hurt, but then there's a pain. There's this extreme pain where you don't get hurt, you actually start laughing. At least I do that. So until certain pain, I cry. But when there's like unlimited pain, then you start laughing, right? So when I took LSAT diagnostic, my score was my score on diagnostic was 148, and that score for me, because I was used to getting perfect scores on physics. I was a nerd. I'll be honest. I was a nerd. I used to do overnights. I will stay up all night, study physics, chemistry, and stuff. So getting 148 on diagnostic was now that I'm LSAT tutor, I know it's a very good score to start with. But at that time, I wanted to start in 160s, and when I got 148, it hurt me to the point where I was laughing. And I took it personally, and I'm like, I'm going to destroy this test. I went back to my room. I clearly remember it right now, vividly in my eyes. I went to room and I wrote one big, like 180 on my whiteboard in my bedroom. And I'm like, I'm going to get that. Because again, I was used to getting 100 out of 100 on math, on physics, chemistry, which you can, right? As long as you know how to solve the problem, you can get that. But that, again, I must say that's not a right mindset for LSAT. Okay. But coming back to you, what was your diagnosis? If you don't mind sharing, you don't have to. And how did you really start studying for the LSAT? Where did you pick it up from?
Okay, so actually, I did not take a diagnostic LSAT because I knew nothing. So I didn't need the LSAT to tell me I don't know anything. I knew it already. I don't know anything. That's fine. So what I did instead is I Googled LSAT questions. So that was in December before graduating. I Googled some LSAT questions and I just practiced on my own, like some random questions online, whatever I could find. I would Google LSAT questions and I would click website by website and answer questions just randomly. I would do awfully. I would only do how was it called? Logical reasoning questions. And so my first times I was getting 9 right out of 25. And eventually what I did in January is I bought the Power Score books. So all 3 of them. I Googled it first and they told me you need the Power Score book. That's the best way to do it. So I bought all 3 of them. And January, I spent the months reading logical reasoning book. And then at the end of January, I started doing practice exam, but only for logical reasoning. And then I would do logic game. And then I bought the logic. I start reading the logic games book. So I was trying to finish 1 book every month. So first month I read the logical reasoning book. Second month I read the logic game book, and I do one practice test of logical reasoning a day. That's my routine.
Okay.
And then so month 2 and month 3, I read the reading comprehension book for Power Score book, and I do 1 logical reasoning and 1 logic game every day. That's my routine. So and then by April 1st, I was done reading all 3 books, and I had done 1 LSAT, 1 full LSAT, because I did the practice test of logical reasoning in January, and then the logic game in February, and then the reading comprehension in April, actually. So then I could see my total score for my first practice test. So my first diagnostic was around 150. After reading all 3 books. So my first week I was getting between 147 and 153. That was basically my first exam scores, official scores.
Got it. Got it. So that's not a typical diagnostic because you did so much of studying,
Absolutely.
but that's such an intense and disciplined prep. I think you are a rare student out there who at the beginning of the prep is so disciplined. You studied 3 months straight while being in the college and doing a section a day. That's amazing.
Being an athlete, being an athlete was time consuming. So I was on the road, playing. So I was basically doing this in the bus or in the hotel room. Basically, anytime I could squeeze 10 minutes, I would do something out of it. It could be reading 1 page of the book, or doing if I had like 20 minutes, I would try to do I would read, and then in the evening when I would have like 1 hour, I would do 1 practice test of logical reasoning or logic games. And it was basically my routine for the first 3 months. And then in mid-March, finally my season was over, because I loved basketball. It was great, but my mind was already in law school, like focusing on the LSAT and law school and everything. So I needed basketball to be done at this point because I was focused on something else, and it was time consuming. Even though I love basketball. But
let's continue talking about it. Continue sharing your full journey now that, okay, you did this 3 months. Take us from there till you getting your final or highest official LSAT score that you sent to law schools. Share everything that you experienced, the ups and the downs, and the best tips that you have.
Okay, absolutely. All right.
If you can remember, because I know it's been a while to that. You've been already in law school for 2 years now.
Absolutely. So yeah. So I explained to you my routine for January, February, and March. And then season is over. Now I have time. I still have school, but I have more time on hand. So now April starts. Time to go. So I do 1 practice test a day, every day, no day off.
Oh.
And until
would you recommend that?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I discourage students from doing that because it brings crazy burnout. But I think because you're an athlete, that's that, that energy and that focus that you can put so much pressure on yourself. I don't recommend that. I think for average student, that is a bit unhealthy. But I mean, kudos to you that you were able to pull that out. Amazing.
Yeah, well, the year I took it, LSAT was only 3 sections. Now it's four, I
Oh,
believe,
okay.
right?
Okay.
Now I believe it's four. Yeah, now
Yes.
it's four. So to us, it was 3 sections. So what I would do is I would start my day right away. I wake up and do one practice test right away. I get some coffee. So what I do, okay, so what's important is the diet too. So what I would do is, because I was an athlete, so I knew a lot about diet. What I would do is I would eat a lot of glucid in the evening. This way I wake up, I'm not hungry. Because when you eat, it takes energy away digesting. So I would try to wake up not feeling hungry, so I don't have to digest food. So I ate a lot of glucid, so a lot of pasta before going to bed. Go to bed, I wake up, I get a coffee. And even before I shower, because showering takes a lot of energy too. It's hot. It takes energy. So I wake up, brush my teeth, get some coffee, do a practice test right away. And always in the same sense. So I would start with one logical reasoning, then logic game, and then reading comprehension. That was my routine. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm burned out. Like I'm tired. Because when you're focused for 1 hour and 35 minutes, your brain will be tired because you're reading carefully for 1 hour and 35 minutes. So then I'm like, oh, okay, that's it. Then I stand up, go shower, eat, start my day. I don't go back to the LSAT. I start my day, well, yeah, eat, do whatever I have to do, phone calls, have a life. And then eventually I go back at it and then I start reviewing it. And that's when most of my time goes, reviewing my answers. So doing the LSAT is only 1 hour and 35 minutes. So if I wake up at 6 a.m., by 7:40, I'm done. And then I could spend 8, 9, 10 hours reviewing, but that's a chill work. And I'm not like it's low pressure. I review one answer, then I'm on my phone. I send some text. It's low pressure. I'm reviewing my answers in a chill way. I take my time. Every answer. Before I move to the next answer, I need to know why this answer is right and why all the other are wrong. And not just know it, I need to be able to articulate it. Because sometimes you think you know, but then when it's time to actually, okay, explain it, then you don't know. Like it's hard to explain, like you get confused. So you need to make sure you can articulate why the answer is right and why everything else is wrong. And then you move on to the next one. And what's the most important thing, I believe, is the foundation. So when I was reading the Power Score books, I was making sure I do not move to the next page unless I understood what I just read. And I don't move to the next chapter unless I understood what I just read. And you need to keep in mind, it's not important to memorize anything. It's hard to memorize a 500 pages book, but you need to make sure you understood. You need to make sure it makes sense. If it makes sense, you can move on. You don't need to remember it because what happened is when I started doing my practice test, my score was really low because I didn't remember much. But when I was reviewing them, every time I would read the perfect answer, it would make sense. It would be like, oh yeah, I remember I saw it in the Power Score books. And so now you can put what you read 2 months ago or last month with an actual practice, an actual application. And
Yes.
so now it makes sense. So you have the thesis part and the application part. Now it makes sense. You can connect both. And now, okay, so you got it wrong once, you will not get it wrong twice. So when I had 10 answers right and 15 wrong, when I was reviewing the 15 wrong, so it's 5, I would tell myself, okay, those 5, I will not get it wrong again. Now I know. And 5, okay, I understand it, but I'll probably get it wrong like more time. That's fine. And 5, I would be like, okay, I don't get it. That's fine. That's okay. I'll see it at a different time. And so the next time, like the second week, like I told you, my first week, my score was basically between 147 and 153. The second week, I was close to 160. already, because there is 5 answers that I had wrong before that now I'm getting right. And it would get higher and higher and higher. So basically by mid-April, I was at 170. Like I touched my first 171, I believe, mid-April, or like, I believe April 18th, somewhere like this. So that's 2 months window, which is pretty quick. I mean, once a day, like obviously, yeah, it's a lot of work, but yeah, so I believe the key is to be consistent and to have very strong foundation. And so yeah, having a very strong foundation, being consistent, and having a good diet too.
Yeah.
So you eat things that are easy to digest during the day. Like if you're planning on working more later, don't eat anything heavy. Like cut down the meat. Pasta, to avoid, it's better to eat pasta in the evening. Like eat lightly, fish, chicken, but light chicken, not fried chicken or anything like this. So like a good diet. And fruits if you can, but make sure you don't have to spend energy digesting if you can.
Yeah.
And so yeah, basically, and
This is invaluable information because it's not common to find a student, a high scorer like you, who also has athletic background, talk about the science of diet having an impact, having diet having impact on your energy and your LSAT performance. So thank you so much for sharing this. Now, how long did you take a test per day? How long did that continue? And when did you score your highest?
okay, so I scored my highest. So what happened? Okay, let me tell you more. So what happened is when I started doing exams, I bought all the practice tests. I believe it's on LSAT, LSAC Plus.
Yeah,
So
Law Hub. Yeah.
yeah, the hub. So I bought all of them from practice test, I believe 18 to I believe 92 or 93 at the time. So I started by practice test 18. But the issue was practice test 18 through 33 are extremely hard for logic games. Like honestly, they are near impossible. Like I don't think they were meant to be like done at this point. Like they were extremely hard. So what happened is at first I really, really, really struggled with logic games. And I couldn't make sense of it. So what I did is I turned my life into LSAT. So I was listening to LSAT podcast. I was watching LSAT videos. I was following LSAT pages on Instagram. I needed everything to remind me of the LSAT. I needed my life to be LSAT just for the 6 months, just my life to be the LSAT. So I told my family, you will not hear from me. I will call you once a week till I'm alive. I told my friends, you will not see me. If you want to see me, bring me food. We can eat together. That's it. Otherwise, you will not see me. So my life was LSAT. So when I was doing the logic games the first weeks, so the first 15 days, I believe, I mean, from PT 18 to 33, like I couldn't, it wouldn't make sense. It was just too hard. And I was like, how can all these people do it and I can't? Like something is not adding up right now. Like it doesn't make sense. I don't get it. I don't get it. And so I was doing well in logic, in the logical reasoning. I wasn't doing so well in the reading comprehension, but I was struggling so much in the logic games. That was why my score was so low. And then eventually, starting at PT 33, is when the logic games become reasonable. So then PT 33, boom, I got a near perfect score right away. Like I went from 16 out of 24 to a near perfect score. And I was like, oh my God. And then 34, the same, 35, the same. So, and then I was like, oh my God, okay. And then I listened to this podcast and they say, yeah, the first 15 PT are extremely hard for practice for a logic game. So don't do it. And then I was like, oh, okay, it all makes sense now. But so that was really low. Like mentally, like I was taking like a L every night. It was bad. I was like, oh my God, it doesn't make sense. I was like, you know what? I was going to sleep at 8 p.m. just because I was just like, you know what? I'm done with it. I'm going to sleep. But every night I was thinking, okay, I'm done with it. I'm done with it. But I wasn't giving up. I was telling myself, okay, I'm done with it for tonight. But next day I need to figure it out because I was like, I'm working hard. I'm working the right way. I feel like I understand what I'm doing, yet I don't get the result. So I think the key here is to not give up, because a lot of people give up.
Yeah.
And like one of the biggest key, like in the LSAT, is to keep pushing.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like I believe you will have, for example, I'm gonna give random numbers, but you will have 100,000 people wanting to take the LSAT, and you will have half of them giving up on the way.
Yeah.
So be the one, like keep pushing no matter what. It's hard for you, it's hard for everybody. Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. That's what I did. So that was my lowest for logic games, and then it went much better. Then what happened is that when you start getting into the PT70, it goes back to being hard for logic games. So then it becomes harder, but doable. So it takes a lot more thinking, but it's still doable. So like when I reached, I believe, PT 71 or 72 or 73, it went back down. I went back to having like 4 wrong, 5 wrong. Okay, I was like, okay, I need to figure it out. So I need to go back to log in and what am I doing wrong? And eventually it went back up. So that was my journey for the logic game part. And then for the logical reasoning part, it's kind of the same. So it's pretty reasonable throughout, but I believe that at some point it gets hard too. I believe same PT 73, 4, 5, it gets quite hard. So I was getting 4 wrong, 5 wrong as well, which was wow, because before that I was getting like near perfect score, like -2, -3, or -1. That was my routine. And so that was, and then eventually it went back up, but it was still inconsistent. So by the time I took the LSAT, I was averaging -3 wrong for logical reasoning, but at time I could still get -4 or 5, or -2, -1. I was inconsistent, but that was still solid. But my biggest issue was reading comprehension. For some reason, with the old practice test, it's relatively easy. So right away, it's the one you get a good grasp on. So when I started logical reading comprehension, I was, I believe, getting -13, which was my best when I started. So I was like, okay, I got this one. But the issue was it never got better. I stayed stuck at -13 for months. And eventually it got slightly better, -9, -10, and then it got worse, -15, -13, -14. And at this time, I was getting -1 or 2 in logic games, -1 or 2 logical reasoning, then -15 in reading comprehension. So I felt really defeated, because at this point, it was hard for me to get past 161, 162, 163, 164, just because of one part. So I was defeated, and I couldn't make sense of it. So I was doing research about it, and I couldn't find any solution. And then that's when you posted this long post on Facebook, on the Facebook group, the LSAT group. And when I reached out to you, because I was reading your post, and I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Okay, that's amazing. I was like, that's gold. Wow. Like it just came out of nowhere. And that was 2 weeks before exam, before, or like 3 weeks, I believe, or 1 month actually before,
1 month.
Before the actual test. I took it June 15. So it was 1 month before the test. And even though I had some peak in April with 171, 173, when I had a good day on the reading comprehension, it went back down. And then I was stuck at -15. So I was getting 164, 165, 163. And that was me. I was 1 month away from the real LSAT. And I fixed a goal for myself for 165, and I was below. So I was like, oh my God, I'm stuck. Like I'm stuck. There is no solution. I have nothing. And I have no money to hire a tutor at the time. Like I was as broke as it gets. And then you made the post on Facebook. So I was like, oh my God, that's gold. So then I texted you, and I didn't expect an answer. I just hoped you would answer. And then you answered. And then you gave me some tips for reading comprehension. And that was gold. The tips was pretty easy, but I've never thought about it. You told me it doesn't make sense. How come you get -1 or -2 in logical reasoning, but -15 in reading comprehension? That's the same thing. And then I was like, is he not believing me? And then you told me all you have to do is break it down into small parts. So you break it into small parts, and you read it like logical reasoning. So read it paragraph by paragraph, and then make a summary of it. So I did, okay, sure. went back to work, got some coffee, went back to work, read the first paragraph, and then I took a break in my head of 10 seconds just to make a summary of it. Okay, move on to the next one. And then I asked myself, so what? No, not yet, sorry. So then I did a summary of it, first paragraph, and then moved to the second paragraph, read it, made a summary of it, and then so what? So then I connected the first paragraph with the second paragraph. Bam, interesting. So that and this, cool. And then the third paragraph, summary of it, and then I added to my reasoning, and then the fourth and the fifth. And then right away, I went back to -11 and -9. Oh my God, I'm back. And I was back, and then I texted you, oh my God, you're a genius. Thank you so much. I'm back to a regular -9 or 11, which is not great yet, but we're back down, which is great. So then I kept practicing, and then I stopped doing logical reasoning and logic games for 2 weeks. I did only reading comprehension twice a day, nothing else. And then so I went from -11, -9, -7, -8, -7, -6, -5. Oh my God, that was amazing. I was like, oh my God, that's insane. And now it was 2 weeks before exam, before like the real LSAT. And I was at -7, -6, -5, -7. And then so that was amazing. And then eventually like I wanted to bring it bring it down even more. And at some point, I believe 2 days before exam, I touched -3. Oh my God. So now I had I was still inconsistent in
LR.
logical reasoning.
Yeah.
Reading comprehension. I was still inconsistent, but I could hit, like I told myself, I could hit -1 in a logic game, -3 in logical reasoning, and then -5, 6, 7, depending on the reading comprehension, which was good. And I was a week or a few days before exam, before like the real LSAT. Then I was like, okay, well, I need to grind because exam like LSAT in 2 days, and I'm still getting better and better. So it's not, I haven't peaked yet. But then so the LSAT came, and then okay, it's D-Day now. Took it, and I made a huge mistake, which was I panicked for some reason. I wasn't stressed or anything, but then when the LSAT started, I was like, oh my God, it's starting. Like I've been grading for it for 6 months, and it's D-Day. Like it is actually starting. So I was like, and then I did logic game, and because I panicked, I read the question too fast, and I missed a word, which was not. So then I did it wrong, and I noticed it 5 minutes in, and then I panicked. So I had to start over. So then I start over. I had 30 minutes left. I was like, oh my God, no, all that work. And I fumbled the bag on D-Day. Incredible. And then so I grind and everything. And then I can finish the logic game. So I have 2 or 3 questions left. And I'm like, oh my God. So then I just pick random answers. And I'm like, oh my God, I messed up. And I was like, well, you know what, Louis, focus. That's okay. 2 or 3 questions. I breathe. And then go on to the next one. Logical reasoning went well. Reading comprehension went too well. And I was like, oh, that went too well. And then, but I was like, okay, you know what? If everything felt good, but I messed up the logic game, so I'll get to low 160 probably. And I was like, you know what? That's okay. Because I still had one shot, because what I did is I registered for June 15 and July 15 as a backup. So now I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take a day off because I had my taxes due. It was due on June 16, I believe, or 15 actually. So I had I'm gonna take a day off, do my taxes, and go back to work. That's what I did. Went back to work straight. So I was like, okay, you know what? This one is forgotten. I even forgot about it, because to me it was like low 160, whatever. I'm done with it. Bam, on to the next one. Day off, back at it. Grind. So now I'm actually good. Like -1, -1, -3. I'm hot. I'm at 170. I'm hot. I'm like, okay, July 15, it's over. And then July 1st, we get our LSAT result. So I wake up at 8 a.m. I open my, I think it was on the LSAC. I have my cover on me, but I'm just checking, like this, I don't really care. In my mind, I'm like, I'm going to check and get my coffee and go back to work, I check. And then I see 1 something, and I see a 7. And I'm like, 157? what? 160 looked like a 6. I'm like, is it a 167? Then I move, like I clean my my computer, my laptop. 167. What? Then I move a little bit, I move the page a little bit to make sure. 167. 167. I'm like, what? 167?
Even after bombing it, you score 167. Imagine if
Exactly. I
that did
messed up
not
the logic
happen,
game.
man.
Exactly. I messed up the logic games and I still got a 167. So I was like, oh my God, that's insane. I'm going to law school. I'm going to law school. Like I was so happy. Oh my God. I called my cousin because I'm close to it. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to law school. I did it. I did it. 95th percentile. I'm going to law school. That's crazy. And then I was like, oh my God, okay, that's crazy. That's amazing. But we're not done. Let's go back to work. I was hyped, and I was like, you know what? We're not done. We're not done. Let's go back at it. I can do better. I messed up the game, still got 167. I know I'm going to law school, but I can do better. Went back to the grind. And then on July 15, on the day before actually, I got sick. I got sick. I was dying. I was like, I can't take it. I'm dying. So then I was like, you know what, you paid, because it was my last chance, because then I had to, I was on a F1, I was on
Yeah.
international student. So my work permit started in July, and school was kicking me out at the end of July. So I had to actually work to pay my rent. So I was like, okay, that's my last chance. Then I have to find a job and get to work, move on with my life. That's my last chance. But I was like, okay, I'm just dead. I can't do it. I was dead. I went from my computer dying. I still took it. I did poorly, but which is fine. I didn't care. Like, I had my 167. I was sick. I was taking the LSAT, taking breaks. I was like this, reading like this. And so I did poorly, which was fine. I had my 167. I told myself, you know what? The goal was 165. Got 167. And at the time, the median for Georgetown was 168. And the median for most T14, actually not most, but like Georgetown and the school around this area was 168, 169. That was a median, and I was right below median. I was international, student athlete, right below median on the first attempt, because most of the high score take it multiple times. Like every time I was talking to the 170 students, they took it multiple times. So I had 167 on my first try, and I had I was a strong applicant regardless.
Yeah. High GPA. You're an athlete, right? You're a minority candidate, right? And then one
Bilingual,
school, which is also pretty high, which is not pretty high. It's very high. It's 90. So only 5% students scored higher than you. So I mean, it was as strong as it could be, right? It's amazing. It's amazing.
I have this mindset, which I don't know if that's the right mindset, but it can always get better, I'm always trying to improve and get better. That's my mindset, right? But sometimes, it's good to sit down, take a step back and look at what you did. And I was a strong applicant. So I was like, you know what? And because I'm international, we cannot take federal loans.
Yes, we cannot.
So you know what? I was like, you know what? Even let's say I did much better. At the end of the day, I would not be able to go to Harvard regardless. So Harvard was out of the picture regardless. I cannot afford it. And they don't give merit aid regardless. I was like, okay. And because we're international, the US news ranking is cool and everything, but it doesn't carry much weight overseas. So like a lot of great American schools, I'm gonna name a few, Northwestern, UVA, don't carry that much weight overseas because they don't have a strong brand. So to me, the strong brands that I could actually attend was Columbia and Georgetown. That's it. The other one didn't carry the brand that I needed overseas, because even though I was in the US, my mind is always international. So I'm in the US today, but I may want to be somewhere else in 5 years. So I need a degree that I can carry here and there. And to me, Columbia and Georgetown was the only one that could do that to me. It depends on the continent. Like I know in Asia, they know Berkeley, they know Berkeley, Stanford, obviously Stanford, but they know Berkeley too. But in Europe, the Western law schools are not well known like that. Like Georgetown is more known than Berkeley in Europe, for example, which maybe I think it's the reverse in Asia, but for me,
it's
in
reverse
Europe,
in Asia. People know Berkeley. People don't know Georgetown in Asia, to be
yeah.
honest. I didn't hear it when I was growing up in Pakistan and then Malaysia or Singapore. Nobody knew about Georgetown unless those in political space. But can we say Columbia and Georgetown were your dream law schools?
Yeah, so Columbia wasn't my dream law school because I knew it wouldn't give me a strong scholarship. So, but it was like, okay, in a perfect world, it would have been. But because I knew I wouldn't get a strong scholarship, it wasn't like I didn't really care that much. So as they sent me an interview request, I wasn't hyped because I was like, I'm not gonna get a scholarship regardless. But Georgetown, they sent me an interview request, I was hyped because I was like, Georgetown, I believe I can. I'm an actually strong applicant for a really good scholarship. Columbia, I'm not. I can get in, but I won't get a strong scholarship. So it won't help me. It might actually hurt my feelings to like be accepted to a school and not be able to attend it. So I did my interview with multiple schools, including Georgetown and Columbia. Georgetown, I was over-prepared, went well. Columbia, I wasn't that prepared, especially because it was so late in the cycle and I had done so many interviews months before. And so I did my interview. I kind of fumbled, which is fine. I wasn't upset about it. So I didn't get in wait list, which was fine. So I'm fine with it. And then got Georgetown. They gave me a great scholarship. Was perfect to me.
Yeah. And I must say that you somewhat were my students, and LSAT score after because you bombed was lower than mine. Otherwise, I know I'm confident you would have scored even higher than me because of your discipline and all of that. But they gave you scholarship higher than they gave me, which I do brag about. I'm like, well, this is the ultimate success when your students get in the law school you are going to, and they have a higher scholarship than you. Like, this is the ultimate success, right?
Yeah.
I have people who I've helped, and they are more successful than I am, and this is the ultimate success. So, but I mean, deep down somewhere, it hurt me. I'm like, I should talk to them that he's my student. I should get something at least equal to it. But I mean, so happy for you that you got the score you wanted. Then you got in school that genuinely made you happy,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, everything just worked out so well because you were working hard, you were sincere to yourself, you were sincere in your prep, how you told your family and friends, see, this is how it's going to be, because students do struggle with that, which is establishing boundaries with family and friends because they have to work on this dream of law school, right? Law school dream. But now that we're already talking about law school, let's talk about Georgetown, because both of us are there. So many people want to know about Georgetown. We both of us gotten with huge scholarships. What is your favorite part of going to Georgetown Law? And it could be anything like faculty or campus or environment. What excites you going to the campus every day?
Absolutely. So first of all, I am so grateful for Georgetown. I am so grateful. Like, so a good friend of mine, my study buddy, which is my best law school friend, my best friend from law school, is international as well. So we come from the same background. He grew up in Jamaica and moved to Canada, and then now we're here together, same section and everything. And every day we just feel so blessed. We're just so grateful. Georgetown is truly amazing, truly amazing. Like the people we meet at Georgetown are amazing. So like Georgetown is the biggest law school in the nation, I believe. So you have so many people to meet and they're all unique. So you have a school of over 2,000 students when you include LLMs, 2,000, I believe, 400 students, and everybody is unique. It's like you're in a candy shop and you can just walk into people and be like, hi, and, talk to people, and they're just like, they just have amazing background and they're just great people. So my favorite part about Georgetown is the people. The people are amazing. I met some amazing, I believe, hopefully long time friends now, lifelong friends. And they just met great people. Like the people are amazing. And then if I can name
I
something.
agree with you. Georgetown is like you are like at Oscars. So I mean, wherever you go, everybody's unique, right? But people at Georgetown are not just unique; they're special, right?
Yeah,
Everybody has some specialty about them that just really makes them stand out. And at the same time, they're very, very friendly. Like
absolutely.
I go to Georgetown campus, I don't get no, you don't see anybody stiff or being tough or showy, and you might expect that, but as special as they are humble as well. So you don't see that aggressive competition or any like everybody supporting. It's a very positive energy on the campus. And I think the administration and the faculty plays a significant role in having, creating that kind of energy, right? Like they're very positive. Um, they believe that everybody can succeed without affecting anybody else. Like everyone can succeed, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I love Georgetown. I must say that I was I was blinded by US news rankings for a long period of time, and I did have another school as my dream law school, like in top 5 ranking, one of those as my dream law school for a long time, right? But when I visited that campus before applying, and I just saw how the campus energy was, I did not even apply there. I said I cannot be in this space and grow. It was not good. And when I came to Georgetown, right, it is much lower in ranking than those top 5s, but it's just so conducive to growth and learning. And I do feel blessed to be here. And then, of course, the campus is amazing, but DC, right, the city, and one might expect it'll be a boring capital like any other capital in the world, but it is not. There's so much fun stuff to do in DC. You go to the wharf, the National Harbor, to Union's Market, and this and that. There's so much for the young people. Then the law school campus is next to the Capitol, far from the main campus. And I mean, you step out of the main law school campus, you turn right, and it's like beautiful Capitol, right? Everything's just perfect, right? So that's my experience with Georgetown.
Absolutely. I would say my second best thing about Georgetown is the city. I am grateful for DC too. I'm grateful to be in a real city. So to me, the only law school, only schools I would consider are the schools in real cities. I do not want to be in a college town. I don't want to be in the middle of nowhere. I want to be in a real city. I want to meet real people outside of the school. I love that. Like, it's good to have, in my opinion, friends from schools and friends that you meet outside of schools that are not linked to your school whatsoever. So I joined the basketball league, for example, in DC. And that's great. You meet people like who work in the city, live in the city, and that's great. I love it. Like DC, like you have, and most people in DC are transplants. You don't have many people from DC at all. So everybody has something unique about them, and they have a reason to be in DC. They came here for a reason, and it's interesting. They have a unique background, and it's so cool. Like it's amazing. Like I'm just so grateful. And something that is particular to me, I like going to NBA games. That's something to me it's important. Like that's one of my hobby, going to NBA games. And we are 10 minutes walking, even less, 8 minutes walking distance from the NBA arena.
Yeah.
So as a while you can be here at the library grinding. It's 6:50, 52. Oh, let's go to the game. Let's go. You go to the game. You leave your stuff at the library. You have locker room. You go to the game. You eat at the game. You come back, go back to the grind. What a life.
It's perfect. I do agree with you. It's a perfect life here, and you will realize it only after you come here. So I strongly recommend students to visit Georgetown. Not just Georgetown, any law school that you think is your dream law school, please visit it, because you might reconsider it, as I did in my experience. I reconsidered, and then I came to see Georgetown and fell in love with it. And here we are, both of us, right, at Georgetown. And one might think that, oh, it's a huge law school, I'll get lost in it, and then I won't have enough opportunities. No, we are getting opportunities, right, left and right, not just the social opportunities, but the professional opportunities too, right, Lewis? Like you're doing amazing. You're a year ahead of me. I mean, we'll definitely create a separate video on the whole OCI process, but maybe like in a few sentences, if you can share like how professional opportunities have been for you at Georgetown, and whether you had to work like extremely hard for them, or they came at just, decent amount of work in pursuing them.
Yeah, so first of all, Georgetown and other associations in Georgetown are making a big conscious effort to make sure that law firms come to the school all the time, because being in DC, being downtown in DC, you're literally by most law firms. I think you can, like, if you walk from point A to point B from the law school somewhere, you can walk past 3, 4, 5 law firms. So they are right here. So all Georgetown have to do is, you know, make sure they have like lawyers from those law firms come to campus. And as early as October 1L, we had like this massive event with law firms. Like I believe 50 law firms came from New York, like attorneys from New York and DC. Because the good thing about being in a giant law school is that you have a lot of alumni, and they love to go back to Georgetown and on campus. And so they come back from New York, from DC, from Houston too, and other markets as well. And they want to meet you. They have tables, they want to meet you, and they want to talk to you. They have time for you. They genuinely want to help you. And so that's amazing. And the law firms have events at their law firm where they invite you to. So I had certain firms hosting dinners at their firms, or at restaurants in DC, and they invite people. So I had dinners organized by law firm as a 1L. I've had the law firm having like happy hours, like amazing law firm having happy hours in their office in DC. And even if you don't want to be in DC, you can still go and talk to them. And then you can tell them you want to be in X office, and they will connect you with somebody they know at X office. So no, I don't think, like, to be honest, I didn't struggle to get a job in any way. And you can network too. Like you can network on your own. Like all you have to do is go on the law firm that you want to go to. You just filter to Georgetown Law. You will have alumni because we are everywhere. It's a massive law school. And they will be more than happy to help you and to connect you with other people, recruiters, everybody. So to give you an example, so I started doing that in early September, pretty early, like maybe mid-September, right? By early November, November 6th, I had a 40 minutes phone call with the hiring partner of a law firm. So that was 2 months into law school. The hiring partner took his time at 9 a.m. in the morning for a 40 minutes phone call. And to be honest, like I was stressed out. And even though like I've talked to many attorneys before, it was a hiring partner. And I had never talked to a partner on the phone before. So I was stressed out, and I hadn't done any interview before. So I didn't know how to interview. I didn't know anything. So to be honest, I was awful. Like he asked me, like he didn't try to test me or anything. He was just talking to me, right? He was talking and talking and talking. And then somebody said, "Well, you know what, Louis, tell me about yourself." I panicked. I didn't know what to say. So I just say, "Well, my name is Louis Ntolla, and I'm a one at Georgetown, and I went to undergrad X." And that was it. And he said, that's okay. Don't worry about it. And they ended up giving me an interview, call back, and an offer.
Wow.
Right. And
Now, by then, you didn't have grades, right?
So the first phone call was January 6th, and he was like, "Louis, I'm typing your name. I don't see your application yet because this firm opened the application November 1st."
Okay.
And I said, "Yes, I know. I'm gonna apply in 2 days." And he said, "Okay, yes, well, apply. I'm eager to look at your application and to get to know you." And so 2 days after I applied, and then by November 23rd, he sent me an interview request. I mean, they sent me an interview request that I did on November 28th. And then went well. She sent me a callback request, I believe. And it was for later on because, you know, they start interviewing. So they'll send me a callback request for December, like around the 13th. So it was in the middle of final, but that's fine. Did my callback and went well. Then they sent me an email, Louis. All the attorneys love talking to you. We would love to have a Zoom coffee with you even more for you to get to know even more of our attorneys, but we love talking to you. And then in January, like early January, the hiring partner talked to me and he was like, "Louis, we all love you. You're one of our top candidates, but we still need to see your grades. But I trust," he told me, I believe in you. I trust you. You got it. You know, you're one of our top candidates. I don't want to say it because, you know, but you're one of our strongest candidates. Like, we really like you. Then on D-Day, I got my grades. I sent them to them first. They called me within the next 3 minutes.
Wow.
My phone was next laptop. They called me for the next 3 minutes. They say, "We want to offer you, congratulations." So from me right away. So that was them. And I had pre-grades offer too from other firms. I had my callback. So I started applying as early as possible. So some firms open early November, some firms open early December. So I applied. So I did a lot of my callbacks throughout finals. So starting in January, maybe 6th throughout, I'm sorry, starting December 6th, maybe throughout January, maybe 10th, basically. That was my interview and callback window. And I had my first pre-grade offer the first week of January. So yeah, no, it was so no, I didn't struggle. I mean, it takes, I believe that it's important to network. It's not just great. Network is truly important. Like, have a great personality, something to talk about. Like, everybody's unique. If you are at Georgetown or at any law school, it means there is something unique about you. So make sure you can share it.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. I think you're answering that question that I'm about to ask, but what do you think made them give you that offer? Like, what was about you or the interaction which made you the top candidate? And we know that they didn't have your grades by then, right? And they were feeling strong about you. So what was it?
Well, like, first thing first, I believe being proactive is one of the best things you can do. Because if you're proactive in your job search, chances are when they will have you, you will still be proactive when it's time to work and to figure out how to be good at your job. So you will go to people, talk to people, and that's how you become good at something. So being proactive and being proactive, having a great smile, have a great personality, because at the end of the day, big law attorneys and attorneys in general work long hours, which means they will spend a lot of time with you. So they want somebody they can spend a lot of time around and have a good time, not a stressful time, or a good vibe. Basically, have good vibes. That's the best thing I can say.
Okay.
Have good vibes, and have good vibes. That's
No, that's good. I think that's very important. Likability, right? The rankings and this whole competition of grades, like, they make students forget that how important it is to be friendly, to be genuine,
absolutely
right? To be humble,
yeah.
to be honest, to just say who you are and to make mistakes, right? You maybe start with your introduction, who you are, my name, this, that, which probably that person was not expecting. It was expecting something, a bit deeper and this and that. But just because you were honest and sincere and at the same time proactive, open to learning, they were impressed. So that's
Absolutely.
very valuable. And again, I mean, students still, like, those who are watching it will be like, still, come on, give me the secret sauce. There is none. There is none. Like, these lawyers are humans like us who have family. They're working long hours. They want to be around people who give them good energy, who they can trust, rely on, right? The work is easy part, right? Like, you can learn the work of drafting contracts, all that sort of stuff. You will eventually learn that. But it's equally important to be a nice and friendly person, because they know that if you're in a Georgetown, you're good enough to teach how to draft contracts, right? That's not their main concern. The main concern is, are you a good person who they will not end up firing because it's just now working out with you, right? They don't want troublemakers. That makes
Absolutely.
sense.
That's the most important. Like, be a good person, because you can have the best grades possible, but if they see you as some kind of arrogant person, people will not want to work with you. And being an attorney in a big law firm means being a team player. So they want somebody that they could see in a team, and people will want to work with. So have good vibes, smile, don't talk bad about anybody else or whatever, just be genuine. I made some mistake during my interviews. The one I got the pre-grade offer, like, during the interview, at some point she asked me, okay, so I really like you, but I've done a lot of interviews and I have a lot of brilliant people. Why you? And I didn't have an answer. So I told her, that's a great question. Like, I'm gonna be honest. And then I repeated what I told her before, like, during the interview, and I told her that's basically my answer. I have to admit, I don't have an answer for this question. Why me? But and then I told her, I repeated my quality, and she said, huh, interesting. Well, she said, Luis, you need to have an answer for that. That's an important question. And I said, I know it, but then she forgave me and she said, you know what? No, but it was amazing. Your interview was amazing. So then she gave me a call back and she told the hiring partner that she really liked me. So then when I had my call back, the hiring partner was the first person to interview me. And he said, "Hi, Louis, great to meet you. I've heard a lot of great things about you. And I've been told that I have to be here. I have to meet you." And that was before grade.
Wow.
And he said, so what's all this fuss about? Tell me about yourself. And then,
Yeah,
oh,
because you were humble, because
yeah.
that's rare in the legal field, which is so competitive. Not that people who come in this are bad people, but the system makes them avoid being vulnerable, right? The LSAT prep, right? It's so hard. If you don't get a certain score, even if you have ability to be a good lawyer, they don't let you in good law schools. So that just roughens up students, right? And they have a hard time then admitting their weaknesses. They are being pushed to just talk how they deserve it, even when they're not believing it. But you stood real, you stood honest, and you said, I don't know what's special about me. Right? You
Yeah.
stood your ground, and congrats on that. And so let me ask you, what are you most proud of so far in this entire process in the past couple of years? And this question is about proud about yourself, how you behaved in this entire thing.
Well, first thing first, getting into Georgetown Law, like in the LSAT score, like it goes hand to hand. But when I came to the US, I didn't speak English. And then the school I went to, I had a great time, my undergrad school, but it's not a feeder to top law school at all. Like at the time, I remember as they released, like I don't know if it's still possible, we could see the LSAT scores by school. I don't know if it's still a thing, but so I checked my school, and 98% of my school was in the bottom 20% on the LSAT, like so the lowest part. 98%. And then you had 1%, which was 1% in the middle median, and me in the top 5%. As I was the only one. And school was in the top feeder. So even though I was dreaming about, you know what, when I graduate, I want to go to a top school, like a top graduate school. I didn't know if it was truly possible, especially because I don't qualify for loans. I don't necessarily have a strong resume, even though I had 1 or 2 internships. I don't have anything truly strong. Like when I was looking at other resume from people at other schools, they were doing internships at JP Morgan, IBM. I didn't have any of that. I didn't have any of that. Or like even in DC, in Congress or everything. I didn't have any of that. I didn't have, I didn't have a strong resume like them. I wasn't coming from a top undergrad, like an Ivy or anything fancy. And I was like, okay, well, I think I like if I get the opportunity to go to a top grad school, I can get the job done, but I need to get this opportunity. And to be honest, that's when I looked into the LSAT and I was like, okay, that's my equalizer. That's my chance. I don't have any of those things they have, but I believe I can perform just as much as they can. That's my chance to prove it right here, right now. And so being able to think it is one thing, but being able to actually achieve it is another thing. And then getting into Georgetown, and I was thinking, I'm just hoping they will give me enough money for me to attend. And then they gave me a lot of scholarship money, which was, wow, oh my God, it's actually happening. And then I actually accepted the offer, registered, got my visa, and it was actually happening. Like it was happening. I was going to Georgetown Law. Like it wasn't believable. Like sometimes I still can't believe it, to be honest. I still can't. And I'm 12. I still can't believe it. And so that was, I think that's one thing I'm extremely proud of. And then the second thing I would say is Georgetown Law, and I believe law school in general, is really competitive. It's hard. It's hard. It is not easy. People are very friendly, but they work hard. They're really nice, but they go home and they work hard. They have goals. Some of them want to clerk. Some of them want to go for Department of Justice, which is a prestigious program that is an umbrella for the FBI and other organizations. They have amazing goals, and they will work for it. So it's not just like being a Georgetown Law is great, or in law school is great, but now you actually have to perform. That's how I saw it. Even though, like in hindsight, honestly, even if you don't do like necessarily like amazingly well, you will still be fine. You will still get a law firm. Some of my friends did struggled 1 year and didn't necessarily have the grades. They still got big law. They still got big law. Like all my friends got big law. And none of my like my friends didn't necessarily struggle. They all got big law in time during the summer of that 1L between 1L and 2L summer. So in hindsight, you don't necessarily need to do well, but the way I look at it, I'm here now. It's time to perform. And so I was fortunate to do well my 1L year. And I'm really proud of it too, because that was a lot of work and a lot of planning, a lot of work. Like so that's something I'm proud of too.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. That, I think you have the quality which is better than having, natural talent and, resourceful family and friends. And that the quality is grit, not giving up even when it gets hard, right? You have that quality, and that's amazing. And that's very valuable, that even if things come delayed, eventually you will get them. But the big struggle for minority students like us is the imposter syndrome, that even if we put in the work, we're constantly scared. Will I be able to do the work? Like, okay, I'm putting in the work to get the next stage in my life, but when I get there, will I be able to do it, right? Okay, I'm getting through LSAT, but will I be able to perform well in law school? Okay, maybe I'll get through the law school even, but once I get the big law, will I be able to sustain it? And what are your thoughts on that? Like, is it, now that you are a few steps ahead of me in this whole process, if you put in the work, does it naturally work out? Or do you think that, no, it just gets harder and harder, and after certain points, like a rocket science, and you might not be able to get it? You might, no matter how much you put in the work, you won't get it.
So what I realized is that hard work is important, but it is not the most important. So most important is having the right strategy. But the issue with us minority students is that we don't have anybody to look up to. So we don't have anybody telling us what to do exactly. And that's a big difference. So what I did is, once I was done with the LSAT, so I took a year off in between. I took it in June, and I started law school in the following cycle, so a year after. What I did is I spent the year just reaching out to law students. So I located law students that I believe had good grades, because either they shared it on Instagram, or they shared something on Instagram, so like videos or something about law school. YouTube, I DM YouTubers as well. Like anybody that said they did well in law school, I reached out to them. And so I asked them the same question: what did you do that the other didn't do? Basically, because it's a ranking. So if you do well, that means you somehow find a way to do better than somebody else. So how did you do to separate yourself? And then I took notes. So I had on my phone, I had my notebook, and I had, okay, advice from John, advice from X, Y, and notes. So, and then I realized it's about having the right strategy. So they walked me through their strategy. Monday they did this, Tuesday they did this, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Okay, and I probably talked to easily 20 plus people, means that you're probably more. And then I created my own strategy. So I realized that it seems like the key is to do practice exam, like from what I'm hearing. So, okay, I came to law school with a strong game plan. Okay, I'm going to do X and Y, and then by October or November, I'm gonna start looking into practice exam and stuff. And then once I got into Georgetown, I reached out to people that were in my section the year before, and I asked them, and I think did well. And I asked them, okay, what did you do to separate yourself? And then I started over the same process. The first month, I was just talking to people from section 2, my section, but a year above, 2 year above, or even graduating students. I reached out to them too, because you can see who graduated with honors and stuff. So I reached out to them, asked them the same question, and then eventually I got specific tips from my professors, tailored to my professors, and I basically created my own pipeline of advice. So that's and because of that, I didn't have an imposter syndrome.
That's amazing. So you avoided, I think imposter syndrome comes from two things. One is the lack of confidence, which you don't have to struggle with because you have that I will get that thing, and a lot of students struggle with the confidence, and a lot of it comes from how they were raised. I think it is tied to that, how they were raised. The second thing is you were avoiding uncertainty of the future because you were going to the people who were successful, asking for their advice, and then knowing that because it worked for them, it's going to work for you. So you did not have imposter syndrome because you had the self-confidence, and then you figured out the future. You were able to see the future by reaching out to those who made it, who were successful. I think those are amazing two things that students who are scared how they're going to do at the next stage, and they can do these two things, and I think they will succeed.
Absolutely. And something about self-confidence, I think the best way to combat the lack of confidence is to be prepared. So what I do okay, I mentor a lot of 1Ls. So I have a lot of Bolsa 1Ls and more, and a lot of them like confidence. But then when we talk and I walk them through the process and tell them how to do things, how to network, I send them my email templates, I send them everything, and they told me they're hyped, they leave it, they're like, oh my God, I'm going to work so hard now. Oh my God, I feel so ready. I'm gonna get it. Oh my God, I'm on it. You don't know, then they gain confidence. So I think lack of confidence comes from the unknown. But if you have people that walk through, tell you what to do, orient you, and they did it before, and they got, you can see their results, and to tell you, you can do it too. Me, I speak just like you, I'm just like you. So if I did it, you can do it too. And but not just say that, show them how to do it.
Yeah.
And then I believe they will gain confidence, and it's important.
That's helpful, right? Like you reached out to me for RC and I just shared it with you, and then you saw the improvement right away, and then you got confident about it, right? That makes sense. That makes sense.
Because the way I reached out to you is the same way I reached out to law students afterwards, and the same process. So I think it's important, keep in mind, when you see people that are successful, they've been helped. So most of them are more than happy to help too. So don't hesitate, reach out to them. Even if you think you may be bothering them, reach out to them.
I think that would be the best takeaway from our conversation today, to reach out when you need help to the people, and almost certainly they will help you, right?
Absolutely.
Just reach out, whether it's the LSAT, reach out when you're trying to choose a major, reach out when you're trying to get an internship, reach out, and people will almost certainly help you.
Absolutely. Reach out and try to do it early on. Try to plan ahead. So if you know you're going to go to law school, right now it's December 2022. Okay, so if you know you're going to law school in August 2023, anticipate the need that you may have and reach out to people now, early on. This way you can reach out to as many people as possible and become confident. You will gain knowledge and gain confidence. And in due time, you will be fine. If you start reaching out to law students when you start law school, it may be stressful. You may be like, oh my God, all this information, I don't know what to do. But if you did 6 months ahead, now you already know. You're coming ready with a game plan.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So in our next conversation, we'll talk about your 1L in Houston, and then your 2L that will release, where you're going for your 2L in our next video, because it's amazing. And you don't know about where you're going to be, but you're putting the work sincerely, reaching out to people, and you're just growing and expanding. That's amazing. Yeah, thank you so much, Louis. Really appreciate for sharing all of this. I think I was planning to share a lot of my experience, but I think that what you were sharing is so much valuable that I said, let's take a step back. Let's let Louis, pour his wisdom, share with students, and help them and guide them. So really appreciate for doing that.
Absolutely.